going to have a crazy little live stream today. So I'm going to go ahead. I was going to do an intro, but I'm going to go ahead. We got Josh here. Josh, how's it been going, man?
I mean, for me, it's been going good. I mean, luckily this is like the second live stream I've got to do now for mental health uh month, but awareness month, sorry. But yeah, you know, been taking the last like 9 days. I guess it's May 9th now, or
Yeah.
May 8th, to just really like focus on trying to like slow things down and like kind of take a step back. So like for me personally, during a month like this, like for both of us, actually, I would say it's kind of like we're obviously consumed a lot by our social media, right? So that's like one thing I tried to just kind of disassociate with myself from. So I have like a timer on every platform, for example. Like you can go in settings and like throw those timers on or whatever. But I have that, and then also it's been I talked about this on the last live stream, just kind of like writing down my thoughts, or writing down kind of like uh, not necessarily like what I'm thinking, but writing down what I'm thinking so I can get to what I really am trying to like, I guess, figure out. Just because like for me personally, my brain moves really quick. I'm someone that has like just severe ADHD, so it's like I'm always moving a million miles a second, and to be able to like slow it down and just think about stuff for a while makes it great, you know?
No, like this whole thing, I mean, essentially is just talking to friends, like, and stressing the importance of having people to talk to. It's really funny because you're actually right above me, and we talk every day. Looks like the Wi-Fi is just really not enjoying this live stream right now. But anyways, Josh, whenever you're back, dude, just let me know, because right now it just says for me that you're loading. So super crucial on the live stream right now. We got Josh out with a little loading screen. But what he was saying is, for everyone, and this is kind of what I started. I actually got this advice from him. I don't know where he went, but Josh has like a journal essentially that he's writing down like just whatever he thinks about during the day or throughout the day or at night. And that's something that I've been doing too. I started off in my notes. He actually bought like a real journal. I don't know where. I don't know if his phone died. Oh, all right, there he is. Let me get him back in here. There we go. Josh, I sent you a request, man. You really just left me out to dry. But, oh, there we go.
Sweet, sub me back in. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I was just saying that I started writing down kind of like the journal thing that you were talking about.
Yeah.
And it's important, especially with, all this stuff that's been going on in social media. Like, sometimes it gets pretty wild. So I know it's been great. Like, I don't like talking about stuff, and I know you don't like it either. So I think that's like kind of ironic and super like important that we're doing this, because
Yeah.
it's like the goal is like obviously talk to people because it helps, but sometimes I struggle with that, and I'm sure I feel like you do too, because we're kind of similar.
No, for sure. I mean, like, for me, it's that I don't want to burden anyone with my problems, right? Because I just feel like I'm someone that is able to like go through them alone, or just is kind of better off like facing it on my own. But the end result, it just like makes me like push everything down, and then probably either explode at like people I care about, like I'll get pissed off, or it's gonna or it's gonna be like me bringing them into the situation anyways, just later when I'm in a worse mental place. So I think it's just like important to always like make sure you're communicating, always make sure you're keeping someone at least near, or someone that you have like that shoulder to cry on, or that person just to rant to or yell at. Like sometimes it doesn't even have to be like logical why you're upset or why you're mad. Just to have someone that you can kind of go vent to, or joke around with, or make fun of a situation with. It's definitely helpful.
No, I mean, I feel like that's like one of the biggest things for me is that I've learned, especially, is that I kept holding things in and not saying it, and then it just ended up like getting worse, and I should have probably just said it. But
Yeah.
I was thinking, but I always would be like, nah, I'll just like deal with it on my own. And then I ended up calling in like you or Mike would have helped me out anyways.
Yeah.
It was like when it was 10 times worse instead of just doing it in the beginning. Yeah, that's definitely like something that I've struggled with. Is just holding it in and then realizing that it was like the worst idea ever.
Yeah, no. What are we inviting someone else up
Yeah, we
that
actually
afternoon?
Dr. S is coming through. I don't know if Dr. S is here yet.
Say, do we know what time that's starting?
I mean, like we just needed a second to vent a little bit and show people a little bit of vulnerability up here. I know that we both are, like I said, something we kind of both struggle with, but
I was about to say, I think that's what I just did, G.
yeah, I was gonna say I feel a little vulnerable right now. I feel like we just
Yeah,
kind
I
of
feel like I'm ready for the doctor to pull on. All right.
Dr. S, bringing Dr. S in here. All right.
No, but I think. Oh, I think Katie just said that he's pulling through. Sweet. Katie's letting us know. Shout out, Katie.
Yeah, Doc
But
is actually the executive director of One Mind Cyber Guide. And speaking of Dr. S, what is
Here I
up?
am. Hey guys, how are you guys?
what's up, my man?
I also hear you're a faculty member at UC Irvine.
That is right. I am a faculty member at UCI and I lead a project called One Mind Cyber Guide.
Yes. Wow. All right. So you're the guru here. Josh and I were just getting a little vulnerable talking about how we both are not the greatest at talking to people, and it ends up getting so. It's a pleasure and an honor to have you up here. And I have a couple of questions. I'm sure Josh has some things that he would love to ask you.
Well, I'll say I don't know where Josh got this journal idea, but it's a great one. And you're stealing all the stuff I was going to talk about because I think that, so often we're our own worst critics. And especially when like thoughts just bounce around in our minds, that's a really bad place to keep them. So putting them down on paper, talking them out with other people, like that's just a great strategy. And that's a lot of what we do in therapy. So, plus one to that one, Josh, that's a great idea.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yeah, no, I feel like I was saying, it definitely helps me, like someone who's like always thinking really quickly or almost gets, I don't know if this like makes sense, but like in front of their own thoughts. It's just a lot easier to write stuff down and have it be slowed down like that, where I can just see it going onto the page or kind of write to like a clearer path of mind.
Yeah, and it lets us take a step away from it too, right? Like if it's in our head, like we get really like just entrapped in it. And so when you put it down on
Yeah.
paper, you just get to like step back and say like, hey, that's a thought. And like, I don't have to believe that if I don't want to, or I don't have to deal with like, it just gives you that perspective, which is great.
No, 100%.
Yeah, I kind of took that playbook from him recently. You actually have like the journal. I just have been doing it in my notes on my phone.
Yeah.
But honestly, probably I should get away from my phone because usually, like social media and everything we do, that's usually the root of the problem. So maybe I should just get that journal to get off.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I will say, like, I think social media has been blamed a lot for a lot of the sort of mental health challenges that especially kids are facing. And, the research doesn't really bear out that social media is causing all these problems. I think really, for some people, social media can be a great way to connect, to, get out some of the stuff you're dealing with, to find other people who are, dealing with similar things and like get some good ideas. And so social media, like it can help a lot of people. It's not all good. So I'm not saying like social media is like, helping everyone, but
Yeah.
there's pros and cons, right? Like there's good stuff and bad. And we got to figure out how to, make the good better and, get rid of some of the challenges.
Yeah, so we've been really highlighting, obviously talking to people. Like, I guess, like, why is it so important to have like the person to kind of go to? Like, I know it helps, and like obviously talking to someone's great, but like, what's the actual? I'm just curious to why it's important.
Yeah, well, I think that one of the best ways to, help boost some positive emotions and feel better when you're feeling down is to do something for someone else, to, help someone else out, to connect with someone else. So it's really important to have that social support aspect. It's also just really useful to normalize some of the experiences you're going through. When you talk about like the way you're feeling down or some of the thoughts you're having, especially some of the like really dark ones that's hard to struggle with. other people are dealing with the same shit. And so it's really great sometimes to be able to see that like you're not alone in this. And I think like, Mental Health Awareness Month and, what you guys are all doing right now just helps kind of normalize and show other people that, we're not alone and other people are dealing with the same stuff right now too.
Yeah, 100%. Like another thing too is, you always kind of want to be, or it's kind of like the image is to be positive when you're a social media creator. Like everyone sees like this crazy, like, dream lifestyle, but
Yeah.
also moments too where people will talk about when they're down or when they're sad. And it's like, you kind of get that 50-50 where some people feel bad. Some people
Mhm.
say, you know, like, why is it important that, people, it's normalized that people are able to talk about their like feelings? Like, I know that sometimes it's hard. And like, I just want to stress to people that maybe I've been dealing with this and like, some people are more vocal and want to be more public with their feelings, but like overall, do you think like it is important to do that? Or do you think like it should probably stay off?
Well, first thing, I think you're right that, everyone looks good in the highlight reels. That's what I say all the time. And like social media is often a lot of like the highlight reels. And we can't compare ourselves to just the best of everyone else. Like, no matter who you are, like if you're looking at just the best stuff that everyone's doing, like you're going to feel like, man, like I'm not doing all these cool things and I'm not this, perfect, happy person all the time. And so I think we really have to give ourselves some self-compassion and not compare ourselves to the highlight reels. I think it's also really exhausting to try to just be, on all the time and to be positive and to be doing all the, you can't always do the greatest things all the time. Like there has to be some ups and downs. And so recognizing that and sharing that as well, I think is also just a little bit more about being, compassionate to oneself about what one can and can't do. So I think that's the two kind of flip sides I see about this is one, like, everyone looks good when it's only their best stuff. And two, like you can't be your best person, your best self all the time. And so giving yourself some self-compassion for those times when you're feeling down or anxious or, the different stuff that you deal with.
Wow. Just really hit me with the facts there, huh?
Yeah. Okay. I'm
That's,
gonna add to that. I was gonna say, like, I feel like there's a lot of people out there as well that feel like they're too cool, or like, for at least on a guy, like from a male's perspective, I feel like there's stigmas around mental health where you'll get called you'll get called a bitch, for example, or you're gonna get
Yeah.
called a wuss or any of that, just because like you're talking about your feelings, and that's not like a very manly thing to do. But honestly, everyone be going through something. Like there's not one person on this earth that doesn't have either a relative or
Yeah.
their sister, their mom, their brother, their uncle, niece, whatever it is that doesn't or that isn't affected by mental health, or them themselves, that is, right? So
Yeah.
I think that it needs to become one of those things that's more normalized.
Yeah, 100. I mean, I say 100% of people have to deal with mental health.
Yeah.
Even if it's not at the level of like, a diagnosable mental health condition, which, 1 in 4 people do have to deal with. We all deal with that times when we have, thoughts we'd rather not have, or, stressors or things that are really getting us down. And I think we really have to normalize that like mental health, just like health, it's a continuum. Like we all, we get our boo-boos, as my kids say, you need to put a Band-Aid on it. Sometimes you get really big boo-boos. You got to go to the doctor, but just normalizing across the whole continuum that these are things that we can share, we can talk about, and we can get help and we can feel better. And for the big boo boos, you might have to go to professional. For some of those small boo boos, your friends, your family members, your social support network, those are really useful tools to get through some of those times.
Yeah.
Your
No.
journal.
the,
Yeah.
jour- yeah,
Exactly.
the journal is a genius idea. I'm not gonna lie. I really like the journal. It's crazy how much perspective you have whenever you're not in your own head. It's
Yeah.
kind of like giving advice to other people. And I feel like that's something with me. Is like if Josh comes to me with something, I can just like, I see it from like 1,000 miles away, and I can kind of like give a great perspective. But then when it's me, I struggle, and I
Yeah.
feel like it kind of helps with that perspective a little bit. Of course,
Mhm.
not as much as I can for other people, but that's why I like using it, and that's why.
Well, that's actually a skill we teach people in therapy, is like to put their thoughts down and to reflect on them as if you were giving advice to like a good friend of yours. So like looking at your own journal and saying like, well, if Josh came to me with this thought, what would I say to Josh? And if you can start to do that to yourself, that's a big step to trying to, figure out how to treat yourself with more self-compassion and with perspective, and like really getting through some of those thoughts that, again, when they bounce around in your head, can be really hard to deal with.
So if you're someone like, let's say like Griffin's going through something as his friend, what would be like the best ways for someone to approach a friend that's struggling?
I think the first thing is just to be an open ear and to listen. And I think that especially men get in this tendency to want to try to problem solve for other people. So, like if Griffin comes to me, he's like, hey, Dr. S, I've got this problem. It's like, let me solve this problem for you. I can do that. Like, I'm a man, I can solve the problem.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just useful to just listen, right? That's not, if the person wants the problem solved, then maybe that's helpful. But, listening and trying to figure out like what they're looking for. Is it, are they venting? Are they sharing? Do they want emotional support? Like not jumping to a conclusion and solving problems if that's not what they're looking for. And then I think like helping them figure out if it's at a degree to which maybe they do need to go talk to somebody else about this, and normalizing the experience they're having too. Like sharing a time where you've dealt with something similar could also be really helpful to kind of connect with someone else authentically.
Yeah, no, I get that.
No, and like one more thing that I really wanted to talk about and make sure I asked you why I'm here is, with COVID and like the world being shut down and everything, and even like now that things are starting to open up a bit, like I guess I get a little bit of a FOMO almost. I feel like there's a lot of things that I've missed out on, or like, Josh and I are working on things and sometimes, we don't get to go out or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. FOMO sometimes eats me up. So you ever struggle with that? And like, what do you do? I don't know.
Yeah, well, yeah, something I tell a lot of people is, you can do anything you want often, but you can't do everything you want. So all of us are going to have some, we're missing out on something all the time. And, social media like helps make us aware of that. So I think a couple things to think about. One is like, it's okay to shut off your social media times. I really like, Josh, when you mentioned that you schedule the time you're doing stuff. So scheduling some breaks is a really useful skill to make sure you're not always kind of bombarding yourself with all the stuff you're missing out. Trying to be thoughtful about the time you're spending on these platforms. I think technology, social media is really great for a lot of reasons. It helps us connect with friends. It helps us be creative. It helps us, maybe find some new solutions or some new ideas, but that doesn't mean we have to bombard ourselves with it. And then I think the other thing is to really show some gratitude and appreciation for the things that you do get done every day. And so another kind of strategy that sometimes, we use with some folks is similar to your journal, Josh, is like a gratitude journal, or, reflecting on every day, like something that went well. So you can remind yourself that, that there were things you were doing that day. You got a lot out, you were accomplishing things, and that's great. So if you guys are working on a project, you're missing out on things, but you're making progress on that project. And so reminding yourself of the silver linings or the good things that happen. I think even, going back to restart with this, Griffin, like the pandemic, a lot of bad has happened, but I think there's also been some opportunities for good. And if we can find those silver linings, even in the really challenging situations, that's a really great way to kind of boost our mental health and, help us live the lives we want to live.
Yeah, I forgot to add them on here. I had some links to some sources where people can get help, but I was going to ask you also, as we kind of wrap this up, like what are some of the resources that you recommend, and like, what are your best, like, what's your best advice and places to reach out to for people that might need help?
Yeah, so we run a project like, as mentioned, One Mind Cyber Guide, and what we do is we actually evaluate mental health apps and other digital tools. And so there's a lot of these digital tools that might be helpful for people. I think it's always great to have some crisis support resources, especially if someone is in like really, they're at a time where they really need some acute crisis support. Crisis text line is a great resource to be able to text and get some help in the moment if you're in a really dark spot. And then I think besides that, like I really think having, your friends, or you're really, the emotional support person who's really going to help you out in a time of need on speed dial. So, nailing in who in your social network is going to really help you in those times you need them. So those are three things I would sort of point out.
Yeah, I actually feel terrible because I forgot to pin them on here, but I'm going to make sure I put those on my story, just so people know where they can go and reach, and I'll put some links and swipe ups on there so people can reach out if they need to, or save them for later. Dr. S, like, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you up here. Josh,
Thank you, bro.
in. Make sure you guys go ahead, follow the Mental Health Coalition and Dr. S and his
Yeah, go follow them both, everyone. Right?
handle.
Stuff.
What is your handle? One Mind.
One Mind org is our handle on Instagram, but you can also follow us, One Mind Cyber Guide.
One Mind Cyber Guide. Got it. So for
Yep.
everything, you heard it here. Mental Health Coalition. Make sure you guys go ahead and drop a follow. Make sure you support Dr. S. He obviously has great advice. Josh, I don't know if it's better, but I definitely took something away from this and know that I need to talk more because I suck at it.
No, for sure. Definitely helps a lot. Always. I think just like even just talking about the situation more and trying to learn is awesome. I think everyone needs to learn as much as they can about mental health just because I feel like it's something that people aren't super educated on. So like we said, guys, do go follow the Mental Health Coalition and then also follow Dr. S and all of his accounts. And just thank you again, man, for coming on and doing this. It was absolutely amazing. And I hope to see everyone that was on this live again soon.